Hello from Tokyo. Teresa here with another stream, and today I'm gonna do something different, and figured this would be a good chance. So I haven't done a gacha stream in a bit, so the reason I wanted to do one today is because specifically for this game, Scarlet Girls, its end of service is tomorrow. So I figured this is probably my last chance to actually take a look at this game before it goes off, essentially offline. There's not... So, I don't know how much there is going to be to play, so this might actually end up being a relatively short stream as a result. But I just figured let's take a look at it and, you know, have a conversations about maybe what potentially happened with this one. Granted, gacha games going offline is not really news. There's so many of these that it's a very saturated market, so a lot of them basically, if they don't catch on, they tend to go away very fast. As you can see though, even though it's going offline, they're still giving you these banners. The one thing I'll say about this game, I do really like the art style. See, it's fairly standard gacha fare. There's some leveling when you're offline. Once you're in the game, the UI is pretty busy. But for the most part, it's kind of the same thing that most of these games have done. It's not doing a lot new, which probably is at least part of the reason it didn't really catch on. But yeah, we'll go into it, but yeah, one of the main reasons I think, at least for me, why I would feel like maybe this one was a little bit, I don't know, just didn't catch on, I guess. Would be things like this. Let's see here. So there's kind of it looks like there's a lot of stuff here, but again, these are all kind of the typical things you're doing, like fight the big boss thing, like a raid, as the Sahriman hunting thing, mock battles, you know, trainings and stuff like that. It's all basically the same systems that a lot of these games use, just, you know, reskinned. But one of the things with this game, it doesn't really have any sort of story, or like, well, at least not much of one, essentially. This is kind of where you would expect to see that. And there is these chapters, but there's like, you get like their initial story bit when this starts, and then after that, there really isn't much there. Could kind of be one of the reasons this maybe didn't catch up quite as much, because you're going through the loop that all these games go through, but there's not, like, you're not progressing so you can see the story and etc. It's really just all the mechanics without much of the dressing. And typically all the things you can buy, and some free things here and there, but for the most part, they want you to be buying extra things, they want you to be buying currency, etc., outfits, which, in terms of outfits, like, the prices look to be about the same as most of these games, which to me is still a bit ridiculous that it's $20 for an outfit. Seems to be sort of standard for these games, I guess. Dispatch quests. So again, like I said, it's in terms of it's actually pretty decent. Yeah, they're kind of going for the chibi thing, obviously, because they want it running on a phone. But it doesn't look bad. Pretty standard one of these when it comes to the turn-based sort of RPG. Pretty well animated. Definitely seen much worse. I'm personally not a huge fan of kind of the chibi art. It does seem like this the case with a lot of these games. Again, with the function of it being on mobile, it's probably much easier to render these characters than some of the others. But like I said, I like the art. Like this character, for example. I think that's the art style is pretty strong. But yeah, that's kind of what you're doing. You can do some quick combat, but essentially it's just the same thing as like the gathering things offline mechanic, just doing it quicker at a cost of either the currency or you get like one free. Again, none of this is really that new. There's some of the things you can customize here. This is the one thing that was a little bit interesting, I guess. You have sort of like a backup unit. That's this mech. I mean, functionally, basically, it's just like a buff, basically. Most of the time, just the automatic dispatch thing here. They do the, of course, they have the, not the weapons triangle quite thing, but the weapon cube, I guess in this case, or square. Fairly standard. And then getting kind of into the characters, obviously there's different rarities and all that. Typical sort of leveling up, equipment management, all that stuff. I didn't get high enough level in these games to unlock some of those things, but again, some of the stuff here fairly standard things. Obviously, you can see rank up, etc. Like character design, at least to me, it's pretty good. Again, you can see the costumes, different roles, but again, like
いい雰囲気でみんなをもっと楽しんでくれるといいな。私がみんなに楽しさを届けられれば。
食堂はどこですか？さっき聞いた人は七面鳥は置いてないって言ってた。なんなの？翼に触らないで。弾き飛ばされて食堂は食堂はどこですか？さっき聞いた人は七面鳥は置いてないって言ってた。なんなの？
She does talk a lot. But yeah, as usual. You can kind of do, you can level up. They kind of do the Nikke thing of you can set certain characters and then everybody else, all these blue characters basically just automatically get leveled up to whatever the kind of 5 main ones you picked are, just to keep everybody at the same level.
勝手に触るな。
Yeah, I mean, on average, like I said, I've
勝手に
seen
触るな。
much worse art. Okay, that's actually pretty funny.
勝手に触るな。
There's a good amount of characters I haven't played for super long. So as you can see, there's a lot I haven't
誰だ。
unlocked.
長官か。すまん。
But do have a decent amount. Generally, like the SSR characters, SSR plus even. They look cool. Like,
私は
again, like that's a cool.
実は戦闘よりも花を育てるのが得意だったりするんだよ。意外だろ。私は実は戦闘よりも花を育てるのが得意だったりするんだよ。意外だろ。
A lot of talking. There's like an event schedule. I thought this was kind of a neat touch. They actually show you they have a schedule, quite literally like a calendar. And then some activities and things like that. Again, fairly
長官様、フォローしてください。
interesting. It says Apex Girls here. Yeah, and this is kind of like a lot of those games do this as well. You basically just do when you hit a chapter milestone in the story, you can get a free 10 draw, a 10 pool basically, for and then once you settle on them, you can go ahead and claim. So I've got
長官様、私はここにいます。一緒に遊びませんか？
and you can kind of see what they look like. I thought there was a way to read draw. They could also be confusing with different games.
長官様手洗いました。
But again, like I like this sort of kinda, I don't know, it's like fantasy and sci-fi mix. It's like melee and using a scythe, but also it's like very mechanical. Like again, to me, that's a cool looking art style.
飴食べます？あげますね。
And then this is just kind of login stuff. Oh, that's funny. It's the server launch. I wonder what the day was for this. Yeah, you get some free stuff here. Generally, it didn't seem particularly, free to play and friendly or anything like that. You do get a decent amount of stuff just playing normally. I never actually buy anything. There's kind of a lot of these milestones you can hit to get some stuff. Sharing it on Facebook. A lot of this is probably where it is. Joining the Discord, sharing on Facebook, etc. You get certain things, and then sign-in streaks, things like that. This is one of the sort of like raid contests. Done, so I can do it. But that's just one of the sort of bosses for the story. So all the other events. And again, even this event, I think most gachas out there have done something like this. You get tickets, spin the roulette, you get stuff. In this case, they have two different ones. And then, again, daily stuff. It's really just that same gacha thing of just like log in so you can go ahead and check things off for the day. So they get you kind of back in. And of course there's a pass, because there's always a pass. I don't actually know what the price was. But yeah, as you can see, the free pass, you just get some of the currencies. But yeah, if you want like actual decent items, you basically need to buy it. So let's see. It's 20. Yeah. Why does it say 99% off? I'm hoping that doesn't mean 99% off makes it $19. So yeah, that's 20 is a bit on the higher side. Generally, for like the basic passes, I think between 10 and 15 is what I've seen most. So this is a bit on the higher side in that regard. And then again, story progress stuff. Kind of see what you're getting. Like I mentioned, these mecha. Again, like, I don't know. I just like these designs. Let's see what else is there here. So a lot of this stuff at the top is I could do better, definitely. It's all pretty much just that too. They'll actually have multiple passes. So that's a lot if you want both of these sets. $40 basically. Not sure that's a good value. And then what else is there? I don't even remember what this is. They had this VIP system, which I haven't seen this in a lot of games. Usually the VIP stuff tends to just kind of be the pass, really, and then they might have like a advanced pass or premium pass or something like that. So that VIP, I'm not sure what that was about. Legion. generate resources. So that's sort of like the base management aspect of this one. Also, this is, I don't know if this is a game thing or just because I'm emulating it on BlueStacks, but it does seem to show that like connection circle from time to time. But I don't want to assume that that's something with the game. Just thinking it might be some emulation quirk or something. To me, really interesting. That's the thing that kind of made me want to at least play this a little bit more, just to see some of the other characters. Because again, that's, I don't know. Maybe it's just my taste, but I think it's a unique enough design for one of these. What else we have in here? As you can see, there's things I Tactics Academy. Certain characters, I guess you can do the activation thing, which gives you some more buffs or stats and upgrades. Interestingly, they still allowed you to actually buy stuff until it goes offline. Participate now. There's some people still playing. Or there were anyway. Wonder what the actual numbers were. Clearly not enough for them to keep the game up. And again, sort of customize the home screen. I'm guessing it just has to be the ones unlocked already. Yeah. I just really like this mix of kind of like fantasy and I don't even know what to call this. It's like cyberpunk, I guess. this can go.
了解
I'm assuming there's quite a few levels. There you go.
ここにうずまれるがいい。
Just comes in and randomly attacks things at the beginning.
新しい任務。了解。新しい任務。
シェルターは長官様に任せるぞ
一歩たりとも進めず。みんな出陣だ。治療効果はしっかりと。すべて計画通りに。新しい戦術をお見せします。
敵を確認
ここにうずまれるがいい。新しい任務。
シェルターは長官様に任せるぞ
Skip as well.
了解
You don't even
みんな出陣だ。
have these.
治療効果はしっかりと出ている。
Win. Looks nice. So I could
す
take
ぐに終わりますよ。
a while. Let's see. There's still loads in the actual battle, even though
シェルターは長官様に任
even
せ
though
るぞ
you're skipping, so it doesn't actually
Hey,
let you just skip
bye,
it entirely. And then as you see, as you clear stages, you get certain rewards. Mirage, what was this one? I don't actually know. Yeah, okay. I do remember. So, this is again something I guess comparing it to like the Divergent universe and Star Rail, but essentially it's the pick a path, pick some buffs, get to the end, get stuff. Guess that's how it is.
シェルターは長官様に任せるぞ兵士前へ進め
I don't know if there's supposed to be a collective term for these, but they're basically pretty much every gacha. Some do a more interesting job of the way they present it, and some are very basic. Literally just do a fight, pick out of 3 cards, and then you have a few other options, like here, question mark, random. So yeah, this one's a pretty bare bones, to be honest. But it's something to do. It's another one of these. Get to the end. Doesn't matter too much, really.
Let me
skip
兵士
without
前へ
having
進
to
め
go in. Like either kind of let me skip it entirely or just don't let me skip. I feel like just one or the other. Maybe see what that looks like.
シェルターは長官様に任せるぞ
It's just basically
了解
recruitable
一歩たり
characters
とも
on the
進め
outside.
と。ザコども待ってなさい。
シェルターは長官様に任せるぞ
治療効果はしっかり全てを片付けよう。また新しい獲物か。
敵を確認。シェルターは長官様に任せるぞ。兵士、前へ進め。
Haven't found the one thing that's been nice. It's like I don't feel like I've been forced to grind or anything, which sometimes can't be the case with these games. Like I feel like in some of these games, like you can start off pretty sort of kind of free to play friendly. They give you a lot when you start out, but then you sort of hit a wall, and then you basically either, you know, you get drip fed ways to get stronger, or, you know, you have to basically pay for it. In this one, I was just kind of logging in here and there and just doing the daily stuff. It was working out pretty well, and it really and also, even in terms of like getting the pools and stuff, I think they give you a decent amount. Like I said, you get those 10 pools. We'll look at those after the stuff. I don't think you were getting a ton of them, but like there was a decent amount. I've definitely, you know, played games where you get a lot less. Characters, so you know they're not super stingy. Because I think that's honestly one thing that really can get me to drop the game very fast. Either just being extremely free to play unfriendly, or just being very stingy with the content. And I think the Oyo games are not super generous when it comes to the gacha. If you don't get draws that often.
一歩たりとも進めさせな。
準備完了。出るぞ。準備完了。出る。
特別勤務ですか。残業治療効果はしっかりとすべて計画通り。皆さん無事に出撃よ。
敵を確認。
出撃よ。
I think a recent one I was playing that was actually, I remember thinking it did not really have a good it was not very good about getting a lot of draws, was Stellasora, which I'll take a look at that game one of these days as well, because I am still playing it, and it's not bad. That's another game that I actually really like the art style. It's very different than this one. This one's going for a little bit more kind of realism, where Stellasora is much more very anime. Nondescript because there's no variety, but like sort of not chibi, but more like hyper realistic. A little bit less on the realism side, but also looks very good, animates very well.
長官様に任せるぞ。よし、前へ進め。
Okay, so there. Okay. Kind of a summary. Things I've gotten out of it. Free refresh, but at least this is something you can buy with the in-game currency, so that's okay. This was the raid stuff. It's probably gonna go poorly. Let's try it.
シェルターは長官様に任せるぞ。
新しいね。新しいね。
了解。
出撃。出撃します。
シェルターは長官様に任せるぞ。
新しいね。了解。出撃するわ。
So
解
skip it.
出撃するわ
I'll let you skip it, but have to actually get into the game first. Now is when they don't have a oh right, they have this whole I never really got into this thing. It seemed a bit like generally not something I've been to before, so but it's there. To the summit.
ここがのアジュコね私はミュールついに会えた運命の導きと言うべきかしらとにかく喜ばしい出会いだね Summoning animation. It's not bad. It's pretty good. Okay, Christina. And then maybe we'll go through some of the costume options, both on the store and also on just on the characters I have, and see what they're all. シモンナ・ラルセン看護師ですよろしくお願いします
Go to waste otherwise. Might as well use it all. Nothing. But yeah, like I was saying, like it was pretty free to play friendly. It almost makes you wonder, like, if that went against them. Can't imagine that was it. Honestly, I think it's like again, it's just the fact that this is like if you're redesigning a gacha, it's like, what are all the things you want to have in it? And it's basically you just look at some of the popular games like, Nikkei, games, Wuthering Waves, stuff like that, and just go, okay, what are the systems that are in here? And then you just kind of take all the systems that all of these games have, or the basic ones anyway, and you put them into a game, and you kind of get this, which, granted, it also has a strong art style on top of that. It doesn't seem like that's enough.
精霊兵団改造指揮官クリスタルコードネーム002です長官様のため最後まで戦います
Again, cool design. It just feels like you have to kind of have a hook. You have to have something. You have to. I'm not gonna say the story is anything, that should be hooking in these types of games. But like, there gotta be something, either like a gameplay hook. Because like the combat here is not gonna be the hook because it's just turn-based gacha combat. So you're gonna have to have something that makes you stand out, and I'm not really sure that this game has it. And without that, it's like, why play this over hundreds and hundreds of other gachas that are out there basically competing for people's time? And kind of on that note, a lot of
こんにちはライタです北京機関入国事務所の主任ですヒルダさんは私のことをもう紹介してくれたかしら
like a lot of games tend to go very fan service heavy as a result of that. I thought this game would kind of be that because the lock-on screen is basically just a girl in an onsen, a Japanese hot spring, wearing nothing but a towel. So my first impression of this game was like, oh, okay, it's gonna be one of these. But again, like, almost every single design for a character I think was cool in this game. So from that perspective, I'm at least hoping this team actually, well, and this artist, whoever it is, do something else. So at least the art style tends to carry on into another game. Quite a few of these games coming out recently. Once, at least the one that had the most interesting, most unique kind of hook, I guess. Resident Solstice, because for some reason in that game, like your base is just a moving train you're managing. Which I don't know from a gameplay perspective if I am liking that game as of yet. The opinion seems to have been pretty positive from what I've seen on Reddit. Personally, my first impression of it was not very strong because the one thing I hate about when these games do is at the very beginning when they just do a ridiculously long tutorial.
狙撃手ヒーター・ケリー・ブラントですこんにちは
And that game had a very long tutorial. And also, it was like, the gameplay was just a little kind of weird. Like, the combat wasn't super interesting early on. And then, like, to you go to different missions, you're literally like just driving a train, which I guess is interesting. Though at a certain point, if you have to do that, that'll get a bit tiring. Let's change our fish list here since I have her. How about Ooh, you have a little dragon. That's cool. Pretty sure I have. Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah, most of these
執行官そう呼ぶの？
後方支援って実は結構大変なんですよ。
この料理ちょっと味が薄いわね。私の部下が何かしましたか、長官様？はい、長官様。長官様、驚かさないでください。どうしましたか？具合が悪い。
ちょうどいいところに一緒にお酒でも飲みます。長官、何か新しいものをくれるのか？
I don't usually like characters like this, but it's a koala mech. That's kind of fun. I like that.
何かご用ですか、長官様？ようこそ。
こんにちは、長官。
Looks like a chainsaw. That's cool.
紳士として一杯おごってくれないですか、長官様？考え事の邪魔しないでくださいね。
長官様、私の道具箱にしか興味ないんですね。体の具合が悪いですか、長官様？
一緒に飲もうよ。
The comically large weapons seem to be kind of a theme here.
新しい情報が入ったか？
天気がいい日に
新しい情報が入ったか？あなたも風の声を聞いているの？
Recognizing the mouse hold all the time for some reason.
これは私の以前の医療記録です。少ないデータですが何かの役に立つはずです。
Mech arm going
部活に触れないことね、長官様。
shield.
何か新しい発見でもあったか？
Come on.
どうも、長官様。
Carafe.
また仕事？
I guess I could have been checking out the outfits here.
また仕事？
Heather.
飴食べます？あげますね。
A lot of samurai.
飴食べます？あげますね。 今日は楽しかった？
What even is that weapon? Like got creative with the weapon design.
みんなはいつも姉さんのことばかり。
But this almost stands out just because she ends up having kind of like a normal sized weapon. Who else is there? Come on.
疲れは取れましたか、長官様。
Two people with a normal sized weapon.
誰だ。長官か。すまん。
Big backpack.
勝手に触らないで。ご機嫌いかがですか、長官様。
Playing cards? Don't look at the playing cards. So it's just gambit.
私と楽しいこと始めようぜ。
What is that supposed to be? Honestly, some of these weapons.
教団の教えって実は全然古臭くないのです。例えば自分の間違いに気づくのに必要なのは心の探求ではなく毎日自分を見つめ直すこと。私の優秀さが君の目利きを証明するはずだ。 勝手に触るな。
After 300 more pools.
勝手に触るな。
指揮官との協力が可能かどうか長い時間をかけて検証してきたの。その結果は私がここにいることだよ。
Really just covering every stereotype now. Alright,
仕事はもう済んだか、長官様。 仕事はもう済んだか、長官様。
let's pick some random.
改造指揮官サファイア、コードネーム001。約束通りあなたと共に戦います。
ミーヤフォンエバーバッホ着任しました。我が鋼鉄軍団が全ての敵を砕いてみせましょう。
It's that big Gatling gun hawk lady with a whip. There's a lot going on.
ミニシェルトンの長官ですか？ケイト・ハルシーと申します。
One more. Okay. I think that's everything we can do.
作戦以外にも日常生活の些細なことでも私に任せてください。例えば新品の試食やファッションも出るになることなど。
talk a lot of costumes. Holy crap. I mean, I know that game has been around for a long time, but Jesus, like you can just be scrolling for a long time. And I don't know, maybe alright, the one thing I'm noticing so far about all of these. A lot of focus on the feet. I feel like they're targeting a particular audience for these. Yep, again. Yeah, I don't know if like they rotated the costumes out. Sort of seems like all the fan service is basically costumes, which fair enough. different. It's pretty similar. Shield design. And the sword. The guard is kind of massive. Yep, and there's the schoolgirl outfit. They were definitely going for, again, it's like they're hitting all the themes you expect with these. Like, I like this character too, like just massive shields. That's cool. Oh, I just noticed that sword is actually part of her arm. Ew. Okay. Oh, she's supposed to be like a nun. Oh, okay. Well, she was. I don't know that nuns generally would dress like that. Okay, it's the medic. Of course, gotta have the nurse. Alright, first Halloween costume. Okay, they're covering their bases here, is what I'm noticing. And then her. Alright, Christmas themed. More cafe. Snows of the Dragon is carrying.
人生は自分でコントロールするもの。未来のね。人生は自分でコントロールするもの。未来のね。人生は自分でコントロールするもの。未来のね。
Honestly, that's like less than I thought. Given the amount of characters they had, I actually expected more in terms of the amount of costumes. So, good. Not bad. It's just, to me, again, it's one of those things where it's hard to justify $20 for a costume unless they have interesting ways to use them, I guess. Tied into a theme or something, I don't know. But, yeah, if it's just like, okay, it's in this screen, you have somebody that looks slightly different.
他に何かあるのか、長官様。
If it's just that, then...
仕事はもう済んだか、長官様。
痛い目に遭うのもいい経験だよ。今後はまた同じ怪我をしないようにね。昔から物資の不足が大嫌いだった。痛い目に遭うのもいい経験だよ。今後はまた同じ怪我。痛い目に遭うのもいい経験だよ。昔から物資の不足。
仕事はもう済んだか。いい雰囲気でみんなをもっと楽しんでくれるといいな。
翼に触らないで。
勝手に触るな。勝手に触るな。何か手伝うことはありますか？何か手伝うことはありますか？
他に何か用事でも？何か新しい計画ですか？
長官様、部活に触れないことね。長官さん。
天気がいい日には運動具。体の具合が悪いですか？執行か？
ようこそ。
一緒に飲もうよ。今日は何か予定は？
新しい情報が入ったか。
音楽は？
何
か用事？音楽は世界に力を与えることができます。
That's maybe the first design in this game I've seen that I'm like,
何か用？
sure how I feel about that.
こんにちは、長官。何か知りたいんですか？
自動防衛システム。
シェルターを守り、そしてただ一人の家族を守ること。それは私の戦う理由。
ご命令ください。長官さん、ご命令ください。お？何かビーチに行きましょうか？
あなたが風の声。私の部下が何かしましたか？
長官様、手洗いました。 め食べます。淑女としてボルト静かにして。何かご用ですか、長官様。私の音楽を聴きたいの。
Herkina. That's quite a name. Okay, so they actually had some bonuses. I just noticed that there's some bonuses for having the costumes.
一人でいたいんだ。何かご用でしょうか。
It's a lot of weapons. Okay. Oh boy.
何かご用でしょう。のんびりしていますね、長官様。
Definitely seems like they had more, but I guess the
何かご用ですか、長官さん。少しお話よろしいかしら。
has like huge. So this seems like they're event-specific costumes, where if you miss it, I guess.
長官さん、気分はどうだい、長官。
Yeah, so this is the cover when you're logged in.
そういうことは控えた方がいいよ。何かお手伝いすることはありますか、長官様。
Okay, this is the cat lady in more ways than one. That's a giant cat, though. Meow assault.
何かお手伝いする。
さっきの環境からのジャンプやりすぎちゃったかな。
Okay, so this one we got assault.
私の考え気にしないで。意見の相違はよくあることだし。
Okay, that's probably the most fun
私の
servicey
考
thing
え
Dev
気
had
に
so
しな
far.
い。指揮官、もう十分は。なんで私の装備品をベッドに置いちゃいけないの。たったの半島。なんで私のなんかそれどうやって矢を曲げるので。ここに来た理由は言うまでもないこと。
Nice.
ここが普通の人たちのために戦ってくれる場所だからです。
That's just oh, okay. So her weapon went from a sword to a base axe.
ここに来私の趣味は全然古臭くないんですよ。
Oh, that's
例えば
cool.
コーヒーが好きだし買い物も好きです。私を融通の利かない人だと思わないでくださいね。
That's cool. Man, I love the art style. That's the part that makes me sad.
魔女っ
Just
て
this,
あまり
this
人前に出るのが好
again,
きじゃない
mix
け
of
ど、
like mech and
私
fantasy.
こう見えても私が結構強いんだよ。悪いやつが10人
Harvest
いや
Moon.
9人くらいなら余裕で倒せる。まとめてお腹すいたな。今は最悪の時代だけど。はい、長官様。
Oh, she goes from normal bike to a jet ski,
はい
basically.
長官様。お酒一杯ぐらいいかが。
長官、何か新しい。こんにちは、長官様。
これは私の以前の医療。
戦闘の準備はいつもできてます。こんにちは。
寝てるの邪魔しないで。寝てる。
姉さんといるときは。何か命令ですか。
誰だ。
勝手に触らないで。
ご機嫌いかがですか、長官様。私と楽しい。最悪だろうが最近市場の動き。
私は
Yeah,
闇を照らす太陽のような存在になり
so
た
the
い。
end. Okay, I guess we're at the end. Is that the last one? Yep. Okay. So yeah, like I said, it seems like the fan service is mostly in the costumes, which fair enough. It's probably a good place for that to be. But yeah, probably gonna wrap it up here, since there really isn't much more to look at, short of just doing the expedition stuff. But I just wanted to have something, something for this one, just because, again, if I don't do it now, once it's in the service, I'm not gonna have a chance to do anything. So I just wanted to take a bit of a look, and again, even though the game is relatively generic, I guess I'd say, the art really stood out, and that's the thing that would have kept me playing. And I do need to check to see if the studio has another game. I know there's Apex Girls as well. I don't know if that's different, but I'll double check. But yeah, really like the art, so I hope there is something I can go to that's hopefully better for them. But yeah, either way, just wanted to take a look and have something before this goes offline in about a day. So I'll go ahead and leave it there, and I'll be back during the rest of the week with probably more gacha, more Inazuma 11, Victory Road, and probably something new. Or old, we'll see. But I'll leave it there for now. Until next time.